What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 505 interview series. Big D here, coming to you from the 505 Summer Lounge, aka it is freezing ass cold lounge. Hope you're all doing well. Been on a break for a couple of weeks. Oh my goodness, I don't know why I'm getting feedback. There we go. Anyway, been on break for a couple of weeks. A lot of you know I've been dealing with a lot of issues with my old man, and so we got a couple shows this week. Next week, off for a little bit of a break again, but we will be back. We'll have some stuff continuously rolling on through the end of the year. But tonight, bring forth my guest. He is the owner of Casa Caraballo Cigars. He is no stranger to the industry. Has been in the industry for a long time. He just a wealth of knowledge. Left his former employer where he was at, started up his new brand, which is the Casa Caraballo, and I'm going to bring on Mario Caraballo, who is the owner and founder, CEO, bigwig, big everything with that. Welcome, Mario. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man. I hope you're doing well, and I hope your father is on a good highway there to recovery.
And it's not looking good.
Yeah, I tell you, it's hard. I had my old man died young, and it was tough. So, I'm sending you all the prayers and the best wishes.
Oh, well, thank you so much. There, Ben. Welcome, Ben. It's not a Monday night show without Ben making his presence known in the chat.
Hey, Ben, welcome.
Ben, did you get your winnings from the giveaway? But anyway, Mario, well, welcome, man. How about you let people know who you are and talk a little bit about your brand?
Hey, so, my name is Mario Caraballo, and Casa Caraballo takes my name, and basically is homage to my father and grandfather, who both were avid cigar smokers and rollers in Cuba, and passed down some of that knowledge throughout the years. I grew up in Miami, like I was talking to you earlier, and I used to walk by the Padron and the Camacho factories, all the 8 Calle Ocho factories there. I swept the floors and mopped the floors and used to pick up the scraps and roll my own cigars at night and get drunk on cigars at 15 years old. And but I could never open up my cigar business because of the money involved. So we good?
Yeah, good? I don't know what went on there.
Okay, you froze there for a minute.
I did freeze. My that's why my Ethernet cable came out of my computer.
Okay.
Well, now we should be good. I was like, what happened?
Yeah, so so I joined the Army, spent 22 years in the Army, went around the world, did all kinds of crazy stuff. I was started out with the infantry at the 82nd, ended up in 7th Special Forces Group, did a lot of good things around the world. It's a great stick. And then I got out and went to work for DOD and DHS, and did another 20 years. In 2018, I retired because I found out I had cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so they couldn't tell me a lot of things, but I had cancer. And I get a call from my old boss. He goes, "Hey, I need you in Nicaragua. I need you in Nicaragua tomorrow morning. There's riots going on, and we need to get about 10 expats out that belong to this American company. We need to get them over to Mexico or get them across the border into Honduras or Costa Rica or back to the U.S., whatever." So I said, "Okay, here's my letter of intent, and here's how much you have to pay me a day." And of course, it was $1,500 a day, and he came back and said, "Yeah, I can't afford to do that because they're only going to pay $1,800 for you." And I said, "Okay, $828." And they came back with $828, and I said, "You got it." So the next day I was on an airplane, went down to Nicaragua. Supposed to be a 1-week mission, ended up being 3 years.
Wow.
So I'm making money out the ass. Uh, and while I'm there, I started doing my homework and doing my math and started going to Esteli, visiting the cigar factories, and nobody wanted to help me. You know, as a Cuban American, talking to other Cubans who were there, let me tell you, they all gave me the middle finger. You know, and it was hard because you know they all wanted three cigar brands, three vitolas, $30,000 of each vitola. You know, so we're talking an investment, initial investment of $120,000, and I wasn't ready for that. So I kept knocking on doors, and I find Papito Gomez, who owns Papito Cigars, and started talking to him just about Cuba and some of the people he knew that my family knew, and so we didn't talk about cigars. We talked about family. And on my second trip up there, I said, I need your help. He goes, what do you need? I said, I have these blends from my grandfather and my father, and I want to tweak them, and then I want to, you know, manufacture them here, and I need you to do that for me. But I can only do 10,000 cigars. I can't do 30,000. And he goes, give me a call in a couple of days. And when he said that, I thought, oh, he's going to say no, So I didn't call him. I drove 3 hours, went to his shop, and went out to eat lunch with him. And he said, yeah, we'll make the cigars. Let's go over the blends. Let's roll them. Let's smoke a couple of them. So we spent like 3 days doing nothing but blends until we tweaked it right. And then he went into production, and while he was doing that, I was trying to find a distributor that would take my brands and help me distribute them. And I had no luck with that either. And then I met this guy named Eddie Tarazona from Tarazona Cigars, who was going bankrupt. And I approached him and I said, hey, listen, I'll rescue you. We'll take a new blend, new brand. We'll push it out, and we'll work together. And that way you don't go under, and we both benefit. And so we launched the brand in 2018. In 2019, we went to the PCA, and launched it there, and got great reviews by Stogie Press, by everybody. 95s on the one stick, 95 rating, Stogie Press.
That's a good stick.
2019 Boutique Cigar of the Year, Ash Quarterly #2. And we did good. We sold a lot of cigars at the PCA. $30,000 that first week, which was great. And things started rolling, but like I said, I had cancer, and then it got worse. It went to stage 4, and I was down. And this guy was managing the company, and I was trying to keep it alive and keep myself alive. And so I was out of the net for a while, and I had surgery, had all the chemo and some radiation, and everything came through. I survived. I beat the cancer. And in that process, this guy bankrupts the company and does all kinds of stupid things that we won't get into here. So I broke off with him because the management style was just not there with him. And then in 2021, I broke up with him in December. Immediately, I went to applying for licenses and all the things you need to run a corporation. Finally got that, and then started the new logo and the website, all that, put all that money back into it, got a whole new production done that's in storage right now, waiting to go out. And when we started doing the Casa Caraballo thing again, and there's about 60 stores out there that used to carry the Casa Caraballo under the Tarazona brand, that I'm reaching out to all those stores now and establishing new relationships that'll be long lasting and will carry me through a couple of years. It's not for the money. Small brands like me will never get rich unless you have a lot of backing from the big guys, and those are far and few.
Oh
And
yeah.
some guys get lucky, some guys don't, and so you do it because of the passion you have for the cigars, the passion you have for the community, the people you meet. You know, I've met some great people. Look at you, you're one of them through
Oh,
cigars. You know,
thank you.
uh, I mean, you're in Wyoming. I'm in Maryland, and it's like we live next door to each other. You know what I mean? And
Uh, and when you're with being able to do things and like this on the internet, it is as if you're almost like my next door neighbor. So this one here, I've got the Claro as I'm smoking. I do have the Oscuro. I have smoked the Oscuro before. It's banging. I mean, that thing is deep and rich and just packed full of flavors. The Claro has a really nice pepper blanket off the retro and a really nice spice and leather blanket on the tongue and palate.
yeah,
Um,
and if you dig deep, you get a little vanilla in there. You know, if you dig deep, and it's the Claro. I call it a dessert cigar because you could have it any time during the day, and it won't ruin your palate throughout the day, right? You
oh
know,
yeah.
and you smoke my cigars, and one thing about the three blends is you could go to sleep without brushing your teeth, and when you wake up in the morning, you won't have that heavy cigar taste in your mouth.
Oh no! This is very good. There's a nice underlying sweetness coming. The aromatics, Ben. You asked about the aromatics. Is a little bit of a like a cakiness to it,
Yeah,
like a soft cake aroma.
it's got florals in it, right? The little florals,
A
So
bit of florals, like off of the foot, I pick up a little bit of florals. Off the smoke output up, I get like a soft, like a white cake smell coming. It's very nice. The taste on this is fantastic. The retro on this is nice. I mean, it is a very strong punch at the beginning. It smooths out and then kind of smacks you right at the end.
yeah, yeah, and that Claro's got a pink Habano wrapper, and it's got the binder's got Sumatra Ecuador in it, and then the filler is a combination of some Esteli, some Condega, and some Jalapa, and little bit percentage of each, not equal, and that gives it that balance, right? Uh,
Yes.
but the key to that cigar is the wrapper, that's the key to that cigar, and you can see the burn is it burns even. It's got a nice,
Nice
uh,
burn. It's got a very nice oiliness starting to come out.
yeah,
Was
got a,
not did no oiliness when it first started, but as we're almost to the first third there, oil she's starting to drip a little bit, and I'm liking it.
yeah,
I like it.
and it's funny that cigar has been rated from 89. Oh, I had a guy in Venezuela rate that cigar, and this guy is really good at rating cigars, and he, he rated it at a 95, and I couldn't believe it because for me, if first of all, I don't like ratings. I don't like it because everybody has a different palate. Everybody likes different things, so there's no consistency in ratings, right? It's just a subjective overview of something you just tried, and you give it your best shot, right? So, but when somebody that's been around smoking cigars for 30 years tell, hey, this is a 89 or above, I'm happy, right? Because it shows that somebody appreciates the work that went into that cigar.
I quit giving ratings.
Yeah,
I don't, and I don't do reviews much anymore. But when I do, I've best basically have put it. I put in the review. Is it for me or is it not for me?
it's
And that's
you
that's
know,
uh, that's about where I put it.
I I saw an Instagram video the other day where this owner of one company uh, was bashing another company that He walked into a store, bought a cigar, and he didn't like it. But the words that he said when he was talking about that other store were pretty demeaning, right? And I'm going, you just committed the sin that nobody's supposed to commit
Yeah.
in the cigar industry. You don't talk about other cigars because just because you don't like them doesn't mean somebody else don't. You know?
I've never bashed. I don't. I never do because I understand that my palate's different, and when I describe flavors to people, I basically like this isn't my jam, but I know a lot of you like this type of flavor profile, and if that's in your wheelhouse, definitely go pick this up. For me, it's not for me, but it's a very good cigar. I've only trashed one cigar, and that was because everybody up-talked it, told me I had to get it, and when I smoked it, it was utter trash. And I go, and then you start listening to everybody else go, yeah, that's trash. I'm like, well, then why'd you all tell me to buy it if it was trash?
Yeah, yeah. I had a Flor Dominicana like 3 weeks ago. I was at Tobacco Leaf with a friend of mine, and he goes, hey, try this. And he was all excited about that, right? So I tried it, and it's a good cigar, well built, nice chine to it, good burn, But let me tell you, man, I was hating it. It just wasn't giving me what I needed, right?
No.
But
And I'm not a huge LFD guy. I like the darker stuff from LFD, like the Colorado Oscuro and the Double Oscuro. I think are fantastic sticks. But anything else, it's too mellow and it doesn't sit on my palate right. Like a lot of people love the Bull. I'm not a fan of the Bull at all. When I get them, I usually just give them away to people. I'm like, it's just.
Well, I smoked that cigar and it wasn't there, and then I smoked the Bull, Claro. It was nice and smooth. So it's it's all about your palate and what you feel. So these blends took me about a year to get them right.
It's not an overnight process. I mean, very seldom do you get it. You hit it like out of the park on the first shot.
Yeah, it's hard. I have people come to me. I'm working a white label right now for a vodka company. It's called City Limits Vodka, and it's the first vodka that has hemp in it, and it's really good. They just launched in Atlanta, so they came to me and said, could you do a white label for us without ripping us off, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, if this is your budget. You need to have this budget to do that. If you don't have that budget, we can't even start to talk, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not a lot, but it's more than $10,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't make a lot of money when you do a white label unless they buy 50,000 cigars, right? So she wanted something similar to the Oscuro, right? And I said, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that right away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 blends that I've made throughout the years, and I'm going to let you smoke them. Now, I'll smoke them with you if you want, and then you tell me which one you like, and then we could tweak that one. So that took 3 months before she found the one she liked, right?
Oh, yeah.
So then we made that blend and let it sit another 3 months in the humidor so it gets nice and cured and it feels good, right? And then she tried it and she goes, yeah, I got it. So in about a month, it's going to go into production, and it's small batches. So the consistency is important. And cigars are all about consistency. And one of the techniques that I do with all the cigars that I make or they're made for me is the fermentation has to be pure. It's got to be water only, distilled water. It's got to be either 6 months to a year, and no additives and no chemicals, right? That slow process gives that cigar a lot of flavor, right? But
I can tell. I can tell definitely in the Oscuro with that I can taste some of the age when I smoked it. There's some of the age, but also how the flavors popped. You could just the way it hit, it was like perfect. I mean, because I was talking to you the day I was smoking that one because I was, I told you I was going through. Some of the people know I'm going through this bag of like 200 cigars that I can't account for where I got them, where they came from, who they were. And yours was in there. I go, ooh, an Oscuro, good, because this is better than the football game I'm watching. So I'll smoke it, and I did it, and I was like, damn, this thing is badass. This thing is good. You can taste the age on it. The flavors pop. They're bold. They're rich. It comes across so smooth on the palate, but yet you're left drooling after every puff.
Yeah, so that Maduro has some 4-year-old cigar in there, that's been aged for 4 years, so I got lucky on that, and been able to keep enough supplies of all three blends where I could supply those cigars with the same consistency for the next 5 years without any problem.
That's awesome.
So and that's the key. The key is making sure you make a good cigar and that it stays consistent, and that your customers come back and say, that's the same stick I smoked on day one. A lot of the small brands have a hard time doing that because some small brands sell a lot and they just can't keep up. Especially these guys who do a lot of selling through the internet, which I haven't done, because if I'm selling a cigar to a wholesaler store, I don't want to compete with them. It's not nice to do that in my world, in my mind.
You're not the first person that I've heard that from a smaller manufacturer. That is, look, I'm selling everything to the stores. I will sell on my website. I will do a sampler on my website so you can try them out. But here are all the stores you can purchase them from, either physically or they have an online store you can buy from. But I'm not going to sell you. I'm not going to sell you a box or a fiver of this. But if you want to buy a sampler, I'll sell you a sampler.
Yeah, and it's only fair to the wholesaler.
It's only fair. Yeah, it's only fair to the retail shops because they're going out on a limb. They're taking a chance on you, and if you can significantly undercut the retail shops because you're the manufacturer. You can save money.
Yeah, no, I try to be real fair with the retail stores because everybody thinks the cigar stores are making a lot of money, and they don't. Some of them do, but the events that they have is what makes them money. The memberships that they have to their cigar
to
shop,
the lounge, everything. Yeah.
So, and then you're competing with your legacy brands, which everybody's enamored with, right? Everybody wants the Plasencia and the Perdomo and the Padron, and the Don Kiki, and they want, all the fancy stuff, and they pay good price for it, and that's what the retail stores try to focus on. So when you come in, they all tell you, I don't have any shelf space. And you know what I tell them? I said, I don't care, put it on the floor. And they kind of look at me like, I say, yeah, put it on the floor. Majority of people walk into a humidor, they don't look at the shelves, they're looking down because they can't keep their eyes on one level. They're constantly moving up and forth. Here we are.
I don't know what's going on with the internet. This time I didn't kick the Ethernet cable out.
Yeah. So so when you go to these stores, they tell you, like as I was saying, we don't have enough shelf space. I said, I don't care, put it on the floor. And
there's always enough shelf space. The question is, do they want to give up shelf space to a company that's paying them for the shelf space, or do they want to?
I've done that, right? People don't understand that a lot of these big companies, they pay for their space, right? And I've gone to Spook'em, I said, how much do you want for that space? Because I'll give you the product. I'll give you that money in product. You know what I mean? I'll give you the money. And only a couple of stores have done that. Said, yeah, okay, but most of them are pretty nice, and they give you an opportunity. Uh, I mean, Tobacco Leaf is a big store in Maryland. It's beautiful lounge. It's got VIP lounge. It's got their humidor is packed. They got stuff on the floor, and those guys are really good people. They give everybody a chance. And I went there a couple weeks ago and talked to the manager, uh, Dr. Ass, and he was like, okay, as long as it's you and nobody else in the brand, uh, I'm okay with it. And they all ask you the same questions: who makes your cigars? How much can you produce? Right? Because they want to know if you're consistent, if you have that consistency, if you can sustain the product, right? So, and they're all valid questions, right? Because if you have an event and you bring in your product and you sell it, and then people want more, you need to be able to supply it. So, it's important that your manufacturer, whoever you work with, knows that there's a place there's a place for you in line, right? You know,
Oh, yeah.
and and you can't switch. A lot of people switch factories. Once you do that, you can't continue that same consistency with that blend. I don't care if you bring the formula in and you say 20% of this, 20% of that.
No,
Right?
you know,
It
I,
doesn't.
I, I agree. I agree with that. I've seen from a lot of smaller brands that flip flop all the time. That you find it's like, wow, I've smoked this before. I didn't like it. I like this a lot, and then it's like, oh, now this is different. And then you find out, well, I went from this factory to this factory to this. I'm like, well, you got to stick with it. Well, I got a better deal going. I'm like, you know what? I don't think that's not sustainable for a lot for consumers out there, because you're gonna lose a lot of consumers who get hooked onto hooked onto to a blend that was manufactured at this place. Now, if you want to put out different blends and have different factories make them, by all means, but you had gold with this, and now it's kind of ugh.
Yeah. So the other thing I make sure is that uh, when it's production time for my cigars, that if I have the time, I'm there for a week while everything's being done. So I'm inspecting every cigar myself, right? I take every cigar, we do the test, and then I look at every cigar and make sure it's perfect. If it's not perfect, I turn it back in, right? When I'm not there, I have somebody there that does that for me and is consistent. But the other thing is that, you know, I would make sure that my rollers don't roll more than 500 of my cigars a day. Uh, 500 cigars a day gets your hands pretty tired. Okay, and when you're rolling 5,000 cigars a day for Oliva or for Plasencia, because they can't roll everything themselves, they subcontract to other small factories.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yes.
you know,
I've had some dealings with one of them. Somebody who I was looking at wanting to do business with, and that was one of her things, was that she was a subcontractor. Her factory is a subcontractor for Plasencia, and she got paid in Plasencia tobacco. So that was a selling feature for me as somebody wanting to put something out. And then then you start seeing a lot of the different. Then you start seeing how things started shifting downward trend with her, and it's like you couldn't get a consistent answer from her. And, well, I ship stuff. Well, I haven't gotten anything yet. Oh, well, here and here and here and here. And it was just one thing after another. And I'm like, look, I know my Spanish is, sixth grade level, but I know you understand what I'm telling you.
yeah.
I
Some
know
people,
like, if you just needed the money, you should just say I needed the money, instead of telling me you did all this stuff and then nothing, and then you won't give me any information I'm asking for. So,
yeah,
it's important to know who you're doing business with, I think.
yeah, yeah. Some people think that you know Plasencia makes all their cigars. Where well, they don't have enough space. They don't have enough workers. Um, Esteli is a very interesting town. If you have a factory and you're paying the guys, let's say $1.75 an hour, and I come in and I pay them $1.80, they'll leave. They'll leave. So now you don't have that production line 100%, right? So it's a constant battle with keeping your best rollers in your factory. So you got to pay them well, you know. You got to pay them well, and the small factories do a better job than the bigger factories, you know. Like for example,
The quality control in
yeah,
the smaller factories tends to be a bit better because they have more writing on the line reputation wise than the bigger factories do. The bigger factories can get away with a lot of. They could get away with having a few duds put in there, but a few duds from a smaller factory ruins a factory like that.
so
And I agree. And I agree there, Ben. You know, the imperfect ones, you know what? You can send them to Ben and I. We'll be happy to smoke them and let you know how
yeah,
imperfect they were.
yeah. So the factory I work with, they make 5,000 cigars a day for a big brand. I won't name the brand, you know. So when I was there when the talk started, so I tell my friend, I said, listen, you need to get a whole entire unit dedicated to this brand because this is a contract where you have to produce what they need every day. Meaning you have to deliver that every day. So you can't be shuffling. You need a dedicated team. So he went out and found 20 rollers and set up a shop for them just to roll that one cigar for that big shop, that big brand every day. They got to make 5,000 a day. I mean, 5,000 every day. Uh,
Well, a lot of people smoke Gurkhas.
yeah, Gurkha's a great brand. I mean, it's a great brand. Yeah, that's a beautiful band. You know.
It's a gorgeous band, and I like how it didn't tear when I
Yeah,
took it off. It just came right off, very simply.
yeah. So
Yeah, but it's a gorgeous band. I really love it. I love the coloring. I love the.
so there's only 4 arrows in there. There were supposed to be 7, and they messed it up. And then they wanted to go back, and I said, no, leave it the way it is. It looks good. Don't go back and change it. Just leave it the way it is. So we
I
stuck out
do.
with that.
I do. I like it.
Yeah.
As for Ben, you talked about you only buy brick and mortar because most of what you buy online is dried up old stuff. I find that if I'm buying legacy stuff, it's dried up. You know, now unless you're buying from Secreto cigars, there, he doesn't send anything in a Bovita pack.
Yeah. So, so you know, right now there's a shortage of tobacco, and you'd be surprised. You know, all the stuff that's going on in Esteli with the big guys. There's a lot of litigation going on with some big guys where they were supposed to produce X amount of tobacco, and they did, and then they took it and did something else with it, and still charged it, and it's a crazy world, and the shortage of tobacco has raised the price up from $7 to $12 a pound in some cigars, tobacco leaves, and it's a tough little world out there, you know.
Yeah, I had to change my blend up a bit because of the costs that involved in what I was doing. I was like, I thought it was this much. She's like, dude, it's going to cost me this much to buy it, and I can't just buy this much. I have to buy this much of it. So I'm like, oh my goodness.
Well, if you're still doing something like that, you let me know, and I'll help you. I'll put you in front of the right people where they'll work with you. You know.
I think I, you know what I think I have a pretty good partner who I teamed up with. And I've known him since he started when he had nothing, and this was just a passion and a dream, to where he built his little teeny tiny factory in the Dominican, to where he built a big factory in the Dominican, and now he had to go out and build a bigger factory to keep up with the demand. And so I'm super happy for him.
Oh yeah.
watching him grow, and watching him grow from just a. I'm like, dude, this cigar is so good. It's like, yeah, well, we're working on making it better. To 2 years later, well, now he's on his third factory because he can't keep up with the demand.
Excellent for him. God bless him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I met this guy last month from Santiago Cigars in Dominican Republic, and he's basically doing the same thing. He started out his brand, and he's focused in California. He's focused in distributing his brand in California first, and then the rest of the United States, because he lives in California. So, and California taxes are high, but cigars a good return investment. And the cigars, cigar smokers, they don't care if they pay $10, $15 for a stick. If they like the stick, it's like eating steak. They're gonna buy it.
They'll pay it.
They'll pay
yeah,
it.
if it's good. I mean, me, I consider myself lucky. I've got zero tax on cigars, so I don't have to worry. If I drive 7 miles south, I got a 50% tax I gotta pay on it. So
Yeah, Wyoming doesn't have any tax on cigars.
Nah, you pay your initial taxes. You pay a 20% tax on the value of the cigar. So the stuff I've had made is what the initial cost per stick was, which was 35 cents. So it was 20% of 35 cents.
Oh, that's good.
And then other than that, and there's no state sales tax, so I don't have to worry about that. And and it's just me. And since it's basically online based, I don't have to collect county tax on any sort. I just have to pay. I just have to make sure that I pay up on the tobacco taxes.
Good. That's good.
Oh yeah, but you go down to Colorado, there's a 50% tobacco tax. So,
great. Yeah.
As I tell my friends, I'm like, look, if you want something, let me know what it is you're looking for. I'll buy it here and ship it to you. And when I got friends who know what they want, I send them a text, a picture. I'm like, they got a box of these in. Look at that. It's like, it's like $160 for a box, where they pay like $300 for it. And the next thing you know, my phone goes ding with a Cash App for $160. I'm like, oh, I guess he wants me to buy them. Okay.
Yeah, excellent, man. So yeah, it's not an easy business, in the sense that you're competing with the big boys, but the passion drives you, and the brand is who you are. It's a reflection of who you are, and I try to reflect that. 100% effort in everything I do with my cigars, which is the same thing I've done all my life. When I do something, right, I give it 110%, and failure is not an option, right? And if you get knocked down, you get right back up, and you try again. And you never quit, right? And so that's my ethos, in the sense where I'm always driving forward and never looking back. And I'm, at this age in my life, I'm just trying to have fun and do good things. I have another little business on the side, which is a risk management, corporate security consultancy thing that was doing really good. And then I lost a big contract this year, so that means less work with that and more work with the tobacco, which is great for me. This is where my heart really is at, because I did that security stuff all my life. So it's not fun dealing with when you deal with rich clients. It's really not fun. They always want the impossible, right? And then they don't want to pay for it. So where in the cigar world, you meet a lot of good people, a lot of mellow people, and they all want to have a good time, and they want to smoke a good stick,
I agree, and the trade shows I go to, everybody beelines it always to the big brands, and I'm beelining it to the back of wherever it's at, because this is where the gold's at.
It's funny. The first trade show I went to, we're next to two big brands, and those big brands they were packed, right? And we get singletons, and every once in a while we get a little. And I always wanted to break the Chinese market, right? So the Dominican Republic ambassador for cultural affairs to China is a friend of mine. So he gets assigned to China for 2 years, and he's calling me all the time. How do I bring Dominican cigars to China? And I told him, I said, you know,
You put Cuban bands on them because that'll be the only way they'll want to smoke them.
well, he got Dominican blends in there before the Habanos made that big contract with China. Uh, so he got a couple of Dominican brands into China, but the problem is when Habano came in, you know, these guys are paying $200 for a coiba, so they don't want to buy the cheap Dominican that costs $30. You know what I mean?
No, it's all about status, and that's
tax-
how it is. It's how it is in every market out there. The
and
one thing I've noticed though is that where the the U.S. brands out there have made big strides in Europe, specifically in Germany and Austria.
Germany is a big cigar country.
It is, and they're
Germany's cigars.
I send stuff to my friend in Germany because it's things they can't get in Germany because he wants to try them.
Yeah, I lived in
And
Germany for 10 years, and I
they
was
love
shocked.
cigars. They are massive in there. You
I was
know
shocked
they love doing it.
I was shocked how much they love cigars. And so in China, taxes are like 40% for cigars, and the state controls all the tobacco, right? So Habano came in and wiped everybody out. But that's a huge market, and these guys, you could sell them trash, and they'll smoke it and pay $200 a stick. You know what I mean?
Of course, it's all about status for them. I've noticed that more and more with the Asian market smokers out there, that they really like showing off. I have this, I can get this is readily available, and you can't. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm smoking this, and this is 10 times better than the trash you got in your mouth, so I think I'm the winner here.
Yeah. So I gave a Chinese guy a Bolivar, and I gave him one of my sticks, right? And I said, "Tell me which one is the Cuban one." And I go, "You're so wrong, right? Right? So how much will you pay for this now?" He goes, "Oh, $50, $60." I go, "It's only worth 15." Well, it's no good. It's no good. Yeah.
They have their, the Chinese market. They're longtime smokers, but into the industry, they're fairly new. So they have that fairly new attitude that if it costs a lot of money, it's got to be good and the quality's got to be better. They haven't hit that. They haven't gotten into that point that there's significantly better stuff out there at half the cost of what you're smoking on that you'll fall in love with and you'll want to smoke all the time. The expensive stuff, nah. Very few sticks over $20 that I've smoked. I would say I want that again. Most of it, it's like, yeah, it was a good experience. I liked it, but I wouldn't buy it again. Very few I have gone out on a limb to buy again and again and again that are over $20. You really got to blow my mind on that. They're good, but at the end of the day, for a lot of us, spending $20, $30, $40 on a stick, you're buying it for the experience. That's it. It's not something that you're going to do as an everyday smoke. We're just in for the experience.
Yeah. So we talked about my next project, and so the short term here, we got this project called La Tampeña, which means Pampa Girl, right? And it's a cigar that's basically dedicated to all the women that work in the cigar industry when Tampa, Ybor City was just getting started, right? Uh, I don't know if people know that, most of the cigar was brought by boat to Key West and trucked all the way up to Tampa. Cubans were brought from the island to work, and they worked in Tampa rolling cigars, and women were part of that. So hopefully we could put that out in January, February timeframe. I think I sent you a picture of the sticks.
Yeah, you did. They looked beautiful.
Yeah.
The band was very beautiful and had a very nice elegance to it. I think it like based upon smoking the Oscuro and now this Claro. I have no doubt that it's going to be a phenomenal stick because the Claro is just this thing's banging and coming into the final third is just it's
Yeah.
just getting better and better.
So the first launch is going to be a Habano, and then I'm working on a Maduro for that also. But I want to see how well received the Habano is received, and then if it's well received, then I'll back it up with a nice Maduro and have a balance there. Uh, then long term project, we talk about that distant traveler cigar, you know, and people are gonna love that story because it's a spy story, war story, real life events that took place.
I,
Uh,
I love the stories behind the sticks, especially from the smaller brands, because it's always something heartfelt, has a beautiful meaning to it, based upon an event. And when you get into the bigger guys, it's just a name they picked. There's really never anything behind it, or when you read about it, you're like, ah, what a fake story it is.
yeah. So
But for me, the story enhances the experience that I'm having because I'm
Well,
thinking about it as I'm smoking, and I'm trying to get the essence of what the story was while I'm smoking. I'm like and when I can feel that, and it's like this is a great stick.
yeah. So the distant traveler story is, it's about American military, uh, specialized group of people. They're on call 24/7, and if there's a hot spot on a specific type of issues, they send these guys in to really find out what's really going on, right? And then if they can nip it in the bud, they nip it in the bud, and they write their reports and they get out, right? Uh, and it was throughout the whole region, which is why we call it distant traveler, because you're always traveling to far away places, right? So that's Lauren, and then like a 3 year out, 4 year out project. I got this thing called Terra Alta, which is high ground in Latin, and it's a special place in the United States where special guys go do training, and their bodies just go to hell, right? Because it's one mountain after the other, right? And it's Terra Alta, right? And there's all kinds of stories that go along with that. So my sticks try to have a real life story behind it, and of course, if I had the money that some of the big guys have, then I could put a cigar out, every year, but the marketing is very expensive. That's what kills us little guys. We don't have the money.
But I think that with you little guys, because you've embraced social media far better than how the big guys have. Word of mouth travels faster. People are more interested in what you're doing and putting out. When you're more engaged on social media, you come and do shows like mine. You do lives on Instagram. You're out there. You're getting your name out there. You don't need to have a marketing budget at all. I mean, because you you pick up a lot of that just from doing what you're doing now, being on the show, going and doing an IG live, putting out there. You're essentially getting free marketing that you don't have to provide to, that you don't have to pay out. You can put that back into the cigars that you're doing.
Yeah, but it's always nice if you could put your brand on a page of Stogie Press or some of these magazines, But let me tell you, it's expensive. A little 7x5 piece, it's $7,000. You know what I mean? A whole page is $25,000.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you get Boston Jimmy giving you a 95 rating on a cigar, I mean, that basically for me, I gotta go buy this.
Yeah,
I love Boston Jimmy. He's been a guy who I've been watching and reading his stuff for years and years and years and years. And if he says this is a 95, then it's a 95. I mean,
he blew my mind when when that came out, and I was like, wow.
I've been on a test blend panel with Boston Jimmy, and just to watch his process and how he goes about and doing his business, I mean, I'm like, this guy's a legend, and here I am. I'm just a dope who enjoys smoking cigars, and I give my opinion on it. And now I got a brand asking me to be a part of putting together their next run of sticks that they want to do, and I got Boston Jimmy sitting next to me.
95.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he rated this one a 95.
I believe it. I mean, I smoked it, and I thought I had to go on to Luxury Cigar Club and go buy me more of them.
Yeah, the key to this one,
that good.
This cigar has a San Andres wrapper, which gives it that oily, nice, well balanced, not bitter taste. So it's pretty nice. But yeah, so I try to. My stories are real, based on real life events. I have a lot of caveats from 22 years all over the place. I almost came out with a cigar named the Afghan. I spent 2 years in Afghanistan, and I thought I wanted to basically honor everybody that served there, and but I wanted to do it in a certain way, and the money's not there right now because I wanted to give it a bang, right? Because it was for all those guys that never made it home, and gals, and I'm hoping that maybe next year. I was approached by a nonprofit to sit on their board of directors. Maybe with their connections, we could raise the money to actually give it that bang, right? And the bang is for advertising. It's not so much for the production. It's to get it out there, and it's kind of like the Gurkha, Gurkha, Afghan, same kind of. But Gurkha's got, unlimited budget there.
Well, I mean, I guess, I mean, if you can find a way to get General Cigars to buy you out, then you can have that unlimited budget too.
Yeah, one of those. Willie is one of their salesperson, and he worked with me for a little while, and I couldn't keep him on payroll, and he's having a blast working for Gurkha. I mean, that's a good people to work.
Juan's a good dude. I love talking to him. He's got good passion. He's trying to, he's really trying to take the brand from being this over mass produced house blend for Cigars International and to add a different flair to it, some different flavors, really to try and change the stigma behind behind the brand that a lot of people have about it. And I totally respect him for what he's doing, and I think, I've had a couple of some of the newer newer stuff that he's been working on. And I gotta say, one of them's not really my jam, but I could see that it definitely will hit a certain section of the people. And one, it's fantastic. I mean, it's totally my type of cigar, and so I'm glad.
What he's doing is transformational, which is important because, like you said, that brand was stuck there for too long, and now he's trying to bring it up to,
Yeah.
another level. So, like you, I think he's doing a great job. I applaud him for it. I think it's good for the brand, and like you said, some of the new tweaks that he's doing, they're gonna pay off. They're gonna pay off.
I think they will.
I hope they stick with him.
I think so. But I don't see why not. Oh yes, there's that band. That is gorgeous. That band right there is eye catching. It's elegant. That's one that if I'm walking into the humidor and I see that, it pops. It's gonna catch my eye. I'm immediately gonna walk over there and take a look at it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful band. It's got a 1700 Afghan warrior on it, and I'll text you a picture of it so you have the whole concept there, and it's got the colors of the Afghan flag, and yeah, I think if we make it, that's going to be one of the future hits there for Casa Caraballo.
Oh yes, yeah, and Paul, I agree. The magazine ads and print ads, I don't even pay attention to them. To me, they mean nothing. When I ask people who I know what they thought of something, or that, I take that as far more value. In like Boston Jimmy, anything. If very rarely do I disagree with his assessment on a cigar. Very, 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 very rarely. I mean, he is on the money almost all the time. So, I trust his opinion. I trust his palate. And if he says this is a good stick, well, then I got to buy it because he said it was. And for some of you out there listening, you guys have put your faith in me that when I tell you this is a good cigar, you go out and buy it. And, and again, it's only coming from my palate's perspective. But if you have a similar palate to mine and I tell you it's a good stick, then I think you would also enjoy it.
Yeah, no. And that helps. That helps that brand sell. Every little bit helps, I just sent an order out to this brand new cigar lounge in Florida. It's called Perfect Ash. Young guy starting out with his dream, and gave him a nice package there for him, and he opened up on October 12th, and he's doing good. And you want to take care of guys like that because those are your best customers for life.
It now is that the new lounge and store up that is mainly geared towards small batch, small brand, and boutique brand cigars over the big brands?
Yeah, when I talked to Mike, that was his idea. His idea is to have a couple of legacy brands, right? Because everybody, but not to have 10, 20 legacy brands, just to have 5.
I have seen. I know a few people who have gone there and have made that lounge kind of now their new home base lounge because they've geared it towards wanting to bring in boutique brands, showcasing boutique brands, finding the next big small brand that's out there, and they love that place. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. So good for them, man. I think that they're really a good place. That if you're down in that West Palm area there, to really go check them out and go give your support to a shop like that, because they're pushing. What they're pushing this where they're not geared towards here, money, space. I don't have any place for you. I'm going to throw you here. You're in this far back damp corner by the humidification system with mold growing all over the sticks. No, you're bright and showcased, and I love that.
Well, when I walk into a store, the first thing I ask the clerk, I say, Have you smoked all those cigars in there? No, I haven't. I go, so how can you sell them?
That's right.
You know, and you gotta smoke what you sell. You gotta try it. You know, So when you have such a big inventory, that's hard to do. Uh, and you go to the big shops and you got Davidoff takes half a wall. And then
Yeah, Fuente has just this middle section right when you walk in.
yeah.
Pat catches your eye.
I mean,
You
they're
know,
beautiful. I mean, more power to those guys. They got
of course.
they got but let me tell you, you're paying the penny for those cigars.
Oh, of course. I agree, Paul. They those small stores, especially a small store like that, that he's gonna remember Mario. Mario's gonna always have a spot in his humidor for anything that he comes out with.
Well,
And he's gonna be out there pushing your brand on people because
well,
he knows the love and dedication of what you've put in and into manufacturing your cigar.
it's. I told Mike I said, listen, man, I'll send you my sticks and you pay me when you sell them because you're starting off, and if you don't have the money, I'll take care of you. And he goes, no, just send me an invoice and send me one of each, right? So when you buy 5 boxes from me, I throw in a whole bunch of cigars in there. So I give you a whole bunch of boxes free also, right? Not to entice you, but it's my way of showing gratitude. And the best way to show gratitude is to give you a couple of free boxes where you're going to make a couple of $100 on each. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one way, but it's about that respect for these guys because they hustle hard. They're doing the same thing you're doing, just in a different way. The passion and the love, for all this stuff, and it's
I hope that the passion and love that I have for the leaf, for the brands, I hope it showcases and people see that because I want people to know about you. I want people to know about the brand. I want people to go, "Dang, I gotta try this stick," and if I hate that word influencer, but if I've influenced anybody to go out and find your cigar or and buy it, then I'm happy. I'm truly happy, and I'll take that on as I'll accept that as an influencer, but yeah. I hate that word, and I don't want to consider myself one. I'm just a dope who has spent 22 years of his life enjoying the leaf, having passion for the leaf, and really just trying to have fun, put on a little bit of education so people have a better understanding of the leaf, and really just enjoy and have fun. Because life's too short to be all this other crap going on out there. But if we can if we can come together over something, then then we're, that makes us good.
No, absolutely. There was this boutique cigar expo scheduled this year in Tampa.
And I had those guys on to help promote it for them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some things didn't work out with the contract piece, right? And people backed out at the last minute, and they really did a job on John, the guy who put it together. But that's some project I want to bring together a couple of people that have the budget where we could actually do something like this for the boutique community, right? But not like the TPC or PCA where they charge you $15,000 for a little.
But now with the merge of the PCA and the BCA, I think you're going to have a bigger showcasing of the smaller brands. I was actually shocked this year at the amount of boutique and small brand that were at PCA. It definitely, I think they almost outnumbered the big brands and the legacy brands that were there.
Yeah,
And they shoved all those brands in the back of that convention center.
yeah,
Really,
it's terrible.
it's terrible how they treat them, but
Yeah.
they were always busy. People were beelining back there, And that's where I spent all my time, was in the back with my friends who have brands that were there, and then meeting newer brands and hanging out with them. That's where I was at, and I'm watching firsthand on that, And I changed up how I did my, instead of going around doing interviews over multiple days, I spent 3 days just screwing around with my manufacturer friends back there, just smoking cigars and bullshitting. And then the last day I was there, I had 3 hours before I had to leave to the airport to come home. And so I did a marathon interview session with about 13 or 14 brands.
Oh, that's excellent. And
I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, let's talk about this. Let's go. I got a couple hours before I have to leave.
And thank you for doing that, for helping those guys out, because they sure appreciate it, and we sure as hell need it, right?
I think your cigar sells itself. I honestly do. Between the Oscuro is still clearly my favorite, and that's because I'm a whore for Oscuros. Can I say? It's just when she sends me that "you up" text. I mean, she just got any other stick's got to know I'll be back to you, but Daddy's got to go take care of something.
Yeah, I have a friend who moved out there to Wyoming, and he used to be in the Army with me, and he was going to open up a cigar shop, and then he got into the UFO business. His name is, he's famous. He's all over YouTube and all over. His name is Luis Elizondo, and I had no idea. A lot of people smoke out there in Wyoming. A lot of
it's one of those forgotten areas out there because it's a big state with very low population. But there's a gorgeous lounge in Casper. The one lounge here in Cheyenne is really nice. They basically bought the business next to them, tore it down, expanded their store out, and made the humidor 4 times the size it was on it, and built a beautiful lounge up in Jackson. With all the rich people, there's a couple places up there. And then, of course, the Cheyenne, the closeness to Fort Collins and Denver, you have a nice selection that if you wanted to just go, head down for the day to Denver or Fort Collins, there are places to go that have great selections that also that cater to the boutique side of things, and you can have a wonderful time. And there's a very good community of people out here that I was unaware of until I really started pushing the social media aspect, and then people started hitting me up. They're like, "Hey, I live here. I've seen you over at the shop. I watch it." I'm like, "Wow, I didn't realize that until I really started this. How big the cigar community was in Wyoming."
Yeah, no, thank you. And as soon as I get some of those Stampeña sticks in, I'll send them to you so you can try them and give me your review.
Okay, I can do that.
And then we'll have another segment on that one.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course we can. You know what, Paul? That's how a lot of shops are, and they're stuck in their ways. They don't want to change theirs. If it's not broke, they don't want to fix it, and they also don't want to take the risk, unfortunately. But I've noticed that more and more stores are taking the risk because people like you are asking for certain brands, or you're asking for small brands or small batch brands out there. And you're really forcing them to start bringing that in because the legacy stuff, it's not moving as fast as it used to move because people are now wanting that variation in their smoke. Because I could tell somebody, well, what do you smoke? This? Okay, try this. It's half the cost, and it's actually tastes better.
Well, it's just as good.
Yeah. So you've You just got to stay on your stores, Paul. You really got to stay on them and go, when are you going to start carrying this brand? I love this brand. When are you going to start?
People don't understand that, when you have this fancy box that costs $15, $20, that puts up the price of your cigar. You know what I mean? Because you're paying for that box.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a really fancy label, band, you're paying for that band too,
The cigar culture is changing, and I agree, and it's changing for the good. Like I went through the boutique movement in the early 2000s that lasted 2 years. I went through the one that hit in about 2013, 14 that lasted a couple of years. But this movement that started in 2019, it doesn't appear that it's going to end. It's only invigorated more and more people to want to live out their passion and what they're doing, and to really go out where you didn't get that in the last two boutique revolutions that came through at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I want to see it. I want to showcase more and more. I want these new brands out there. I want to talk to these new brands. I want to see what they're all about. I want to know their story. And I think that's for the good. And I think some shops will just stick to the same old, but there'll be some shops that start expanding out because the demand is going to be there, and the people are going to continuously ask for it, and eventually they're going to have to cave in. Otherwise, they're going to start losing business because somebody else will come right in across the street to offer what they're not willing to offer. Yes, I want to, exactly, Paul. We want to know more and feel that personal connection with the brands. And when you get that, you have a lifelong smoke. You now have a lifelong person that's going to want everything you have. That's going to be out there wanting to buy what you have. And I completely agree.
I'll tell you, I was at last month I was at an event, and I got invited. They said, "Hey, come down to Florida and come and join us." And I had no idea it was with Hoot and Young, right?
Oh, yes.
And so I got to meet Tim, and what a great person, right? Tim's lucky. He's got good cash, and he's got a great whiskey that's promoting that brand. And then the guy who made his blends is a great blender, C, who all his cigars are good. But the whiskey's what's pushing his cigars,
Yes.
And then he's lucky because of the stories that they sell, which is, I can't tell some of those same stories because they trademark everything, right? They have the money to do that. I can't trademark everything, right? But they do, and God bless them, I'm really happy.
They're very good guys,
because they're great human beings.
Yes, they're fantastic people. Yeah, they do a lot of good work for just not the cigar community and the spirit community, but also for our men and women in the military as well.
And I love those guys, and one day I hope I get there so I could do the same, right?
I really think you're on your way. I really do, because I think you're from both the sticks that I've smoked. You have a fantastic product. You really do. You have a fantastic product. That Oscuro, I'm telling you, in my book, it's, of all the Oscuros I've smoked over 22 years, it's top 5.
Thank you. That means you humble me, right?
It's so. I mean, I'm smoking it. I'm talking to you because you hit me up as I was smoking it, and the deeper I got into it, I had to go over and try and find what website sells it. And I found Luxury Cigar Club has them, so I had to go buy more from Luxury Cigar Club.
Yeah, and most of the product that was out there has been sold. It's been sold. So I'm trying to reach all those guys and get new product in there, right? And hopefully it'll work. And it just takes time because right now it's just me and one other person until we get heavily cranking again, you know, and it's 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 not easy. It's hard when it's just two people, but that means you have to work a little harder. That's all. You know,
You just got to grind it out a whole lot
that's
more,
it.
man.
You know,
But I think you've got a good product. I think you've the way that you've marketed the product is awesome. You're a very personable guy. I think you're very relatable to a lot of people out there, which I think is why a lot of people are really going to try your brand out. I mean, I love it. I loved it. I mean, for sure. You know, it's definitely. I gotta say the Oscuro is definitely a stick I gotta have in my go-to humidor. So, you know, if I go in and I pull it out, I'm not going to be disappointed when I smoke it. I'm going to be like, oh, it's going to be a good afternoon. It's going to be a good afternoon.
That's it. No, that's good. And like I said, I'm humbled by that, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate you taking the time to, dedicate this time to me and to your viewers, and all the people you reach. Either they watch it today or they watch it during the week because they're working, whatever. And my passion is there. I'll continue to put out a good product at a good price, and I hope to get out to events eventually and start meeting some people and shaking hands and creating, partnerships for life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I think you've got it. I really do. I think you've got the secret sauce because you've managed to you've managed to put a good story together with a good cigar, and I think that it'll speak for itself. The cigar will do the talking.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like I tell people. I said, you could look the part, but if you can't walk the talk, then you shit all over yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
And so don't say you have a good product if you don't. And I never say I have a good product. I let people tell me.
I'm telling you, and I'm telling everybody who's watching live right now, or who's watching later on this week. This is a good product. This is a product you gotta keep in your humidor. You gotta go find who's selling it, and you gotta go buy it. The Oscuro to me is box worthy. It's for sure. It's box worthy.
And you got to tell your local store to get it.
And tell your local shop to get it. That's right. The Oscuro is a box-worthy stick. The Claro, what I just smoked, it's definitely fiver-worthy. It's definitely worth picking up a fiver of.
Hey, Casa Caraballo cigar car wrap. Yeah, I love that.
There you go. There you go. Ben can drive around Central California with his car wrap promoting the brand.
Hey Ben, find out how much a door costs because the whole car is probably $4,000.
Look, he'll probably be like, just send me the door wrap and cigars, and I'll do it for free. He'll charge you in cigars.
Just tell Ben to Ben, just send me a message and we'll get you some samples.
Man, I appreciate you taking the time and coming on. I loved it, man. I definitely want to have you back. I definitely would love to get you on Tuesday nights with Ryan and I on our live review show that we do. I think you would fit right in with Ryan and I, and you get to sit there like you are now, tell your stories while you got two dopes live reviewing your cigar in front of you.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be
great. And for those of you watching tomorrow night, we at this point don't have a guest, but we are going to be continuing our venture into Benavides cigars, and we're going to be doing the Maduro. And maybe Mr. Benavides will be able to join us again like he did last time, finding a Starbucks in Esteli and tapping into their Wi-Fi so he could join us.
Yeah.
But It's there. Next Monday night, Mark Alston, who is the owner of Select Draw Cigar Cutters, will be my guest. You see him out there. He's got the Select Draw Vixens going all over Instagram. I'm not one of his Vixens, unfortunately, so he'll have to deal with just looking at this ugly mug instead of all those beautiful ladies he parades around on his Instagram page. So come join us for that. That'll be a lot of fun. Mark is a great dude. Another guy out there in the Maryland area who had a idea and has capitalized on that idea with awesome cigar accessories. So we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And, Casa Caraballo, the 828, thanks you. We're glad you like it. I hope your viewers will also go for it and enjoy it. And ask your local tobacconists for it, and we'll ship it out to them, and we'll get cranking. And hopefully we can do this again.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Please keep in contact when you've got stuff, when you're getting ready to drop something new so we can go. And definitely want to get you on with Ryan and I, because I'd love to do a live review so you can sit back and sweat the bullets as you've got two idiots doing it. Paul, that's mean, Paul.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Out of the park. Yeah. All right.
So I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much. If you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, all of Mario's contact information is down in the description, so you can follow along and play along at the home game by clicking on any of the direct links that are there. Take you to his Facebook page, his website, to his Instagram page. Anywhere you want it, anything you want to know about Mario and his brand, down in the description. And of course, thank you to anybody who's watching tonight for the first time on LinkedIn. Hi, LinkedIn. I didn't see anybody pop in from the chat room from LinkedIn, but if you're watching from there, hi. I kind of ignored you tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mario. Everybody, we will see you next week. Peace out.
Peace out.